Okay, Chris Lee, Blaine Gilmer, Blake Lovell here with our fancy new graphics to talk about Kentucky and Ole Miss. That's a game we have circled for a couple weeks now. This one going to be noon Eastern on ESPN. Depending on where you get your lines and when you're checking this, the line is Ole Miss by about 5.5 or 6, over under of about 55.5. Very, very interesting game. Both teams have been very stingy on defense. Let's talk first about when Kentucky's got the ball, because I think that's a very interesting aspect of this game. Kentucky averaging 31.3 points, giving up 10 to Ole Miss, Ole Miss is giving up 10. Kentucky averaging 10.1 yards a pass under Will Levis, who's just been phenomenal. Ole Miss only giving up 5.3, now been a suspect schedule. And even Tulsa, the team that we really wanted to see how Ole Miss handled in the past, lost its starting quarterback early in that game, so we didn't really get to see how that would have materialized. Kentucky averaging a miserable 2.4 yards a rush. Ole Miss giving up 3.2. Blaine, I think one of the big surprises of this year has been just how good that Ole Miss defense has been, and really how little Kentucky, on the other hand, has been able to run the ball.
Do you want me to go ahead and make some Ole Miss fans mad right off the bat here? Because I'm just going to tell you, Ole Miss, they've been great defensively, but against who? Like that's the problem here is they're 4-0 and they got pushed to the brink against Tulsa. Now I know same thing can be said for Kentucky and Northern Illinois, but the defense has stood up under Lane Kiffin. You got to give credit where credit's due, but 262 yards on the ground given up against Tulsa last week. And that brings me into a headline here: return of C-Rod, Kentucky getting Chris Rodriguez back. So I think that's going to be a test for Ole Miss. They're going to be without Otis Reese, who got ejected with a targeting penalty there at the end of that Tulsa game. And then also Zach Evans on the other side. So guys, it's going to be interesting. Blake, what do you think about the return of Chris Rodriguez, and can that defense hold up?
Well, speaking of Chris has been picking on this Kentucky rushing attack thus far, and every time he does it, I tell him, Chris, I know what you're saying, but there's another Chris out there that as soon as he steps back on the field, it's going to be a big difference, I think, for this Kentucky running game, and I think that's exactly what you're going to see here. Look, is he going to be perfect in game one? Probably not, but I still think it's going to give them a significant boost, and what does that do as well? You know, guys, it opens up a lot more, too, in terms of the passing game, which is already, we know, a strength of this team. So I think having him back out there is going to open up some of those things. And look, I think Blaine makes some good points about, we've said it too, Chris, like I still don't have a great feel of what to make of Ole Miss just yet. And I think it is because of the schedule. And that's not, they've won every game they played. That's good. You should. But it's still, this is where I think we learn a whole lot about Ole Miss, even though to me, they've still been very impressive, in some of the games they played. And there's been, some things that they are obviously doing very, very well, whether it's running the ball, defense has gotten better. But this is a challenge going up against a Kentucky team that some people think they may not be top 10, but they are. And I mean, it's a very big challenge, I think, with Rodriguez coming back to help with their running game. So,
okay, we're going to talk about when Ole Miss has the ball in just a minute, but we got to give a shout out to our title sponsor, Stakes. That is STAKES. Big games coming up in the SEC this week. To add some excitement, we are making predictions in the Stakes app, which, by the way, always free, and your winnings, which you get, cost you nothing. You get tokens that you can exchange for NFTs, all kinds of cool stuff in there. We're going to want to hear from you guys, whether you agree or disagree with our takes. Go to playwithstakes.com/14, sign up with Stakes, place your prediction. If you're with or against us, use the invite code Southeastern14. When you sign up, you'll get a double welcome bonus. Okay, guys, Ole Miss has settled on a quarterback. It's Jaxson Dart. The Rebels have not been the Rebels of the last few years where they just throw you to death. It has been a power running attack, very much unlike what we've seen out of Ole Miss in a while. Ole Miss is scoring 41 points a game, albeit against suspect competition. But let's be honest. Outside of Florida, Kentucky's not played a world beater schedule either. Ole Miss is averaging 8 yards a throw. Kentucky giving up 5.6. Ole Miss is averaging 5.8 a rush. Kentucky averaging just 3.7 against. I know, though, Kentucky's got a big, beefy front, Blaine. And how do you think this materializes? Ole Miss, again, going run first. I think it can throw the ball, but Kentucky's been pretty stingy there too.
Yeah, I think this is a tough spot for Ole Miss in terms of offensively, because Jaxson Dart, even though he is now, Lane Kiffin said unequivocally, Luke Altmaier's our backup, so he gives full endorsement to Jaxson Dart being the quarterback. They still have not been anywhere near as productive in that passing game as they would like to be, and they're about to face a Mark Stoops led, defense that has a lot of veterans in the front seven, and also some playmakers in the defensive, the secondary as well. It's going to be interesting, Blake, if Zach Evans is limited in this one. All Lane Kiffin would say after the game is it's a medical thing. So that typically when coaches are that vague, it's not may not end up being the greatest. So if Zach Evans is limited, they do have Quinshad Judkins, who went off in the Tulsa game. Good. But I'm a little bit concerned that if Kentucky, who's good at stopping the run, if they're able to limit that run game, Jaxson Dart is going to have to step up, Blake.
All right, I think that's the game plan, as you guys know. Like, they are going to force them to beat them, I think, in that area. That they're not just going to let them come out and run all over them, because like you've talked about, I mean, that is a strength of this Kentucky team in terms of stopping the run and knowing that. I think the depth certainly helps, depending on, like we said, what Evans looks like, if he plays, all that kind of stuff. That there is still some depth there with the running back group. But I think I'll just go ahead and tell you guys right now. I know we're going to make our picks in a second, but the thing I am all in on this game is the under, because I think you're actually going to see a situation here where specifically I look at Kentucky's defense, some of the things they'll be able to do against Ole Miss, but I also don't want to take anything away from Ole Miss, because I think they'll be able to do some things to challenge that Kentucky offense. So to me, it kind of goes both ways here, and I think it's going to be interesting to see. I think I know which way Blaine's leaning on this one, but I'm curious to see kind of what we're looking at in this game, because this is one of the more fascinating matchups we had this far. And to be honest with you, I think it's because I don't know still, like I said, what exactly Ole Miss, I don't know what exactly we take away from those first 4 games. And now your first SEC opponent, given what we've seen from Kentucky, there's a lot of kind of fascinating tidbits heading into this one.
Okay, guys, if you take the spread and the over-under and do the math, the implied final by Las Vegas right now is 31-25 in Ole Miss's favor. Blaine, I'll start with you. Give me a pick on this game.
Man, if we're doing like best bets of the week, that Kentucky getting 6 points is my best bet of the week. I love Kentucky in this spot. I don't think Ole Miss's defense is going to be prepared for an attack that has Tavion Robinson, Barian Brown, and Chris Rodriguez in it. I think Will Levis shines in this game, and I like Kentucky to win this one. Listen, they went down to the Swamp and beat a Florida team that we saw play pretty good against Tennessee, and I don't think Jaxson Dart is anywhere near what Anthony Richardson is. I don't think this Kentucky defense is going to have problems. Give me Kentucky to win this game 28-20.
I will go Kentucky 23-20. I'm kind of with Blaine on this. I think we've already seen what Kentucky's done on the road against a Florida team that I know they had a few bumps in the road there, but clearly, did some things much better against Tennessee. I just think this is a team that, look, it doesn't have to be pretty every single time, every single possession, but they just keep doing the right things, and it keeps getting them victories. And I think that
it won't be pretty.
Oh, right. I don't think this game probably will. Well, that's why I mentioned the under. I think that's the best play here. So I'm going to go 23-20 Kentucky. I think this should be a very good game, but I still look at it overall. I think from what we've seen, I think Kentucky just has proven more, and it's not, Ole Miss maybe just hasn't gotten the opportunities given the schedule. But then again, I'm not exactly knocking Ole Miss here. I think picking them to lose by a field goal. So.
Okay, guys, that makes 3 for 3 on the under. However, I'm going Ole Miss to win 24-20. I think that Kentucky's problems in the run game are more than just missing Rodriguez. Is he going to help? Yes. Will they get better? Yes. But this Ole Miss defense has been really good. I like Ole Miss at home to win a close one. Anyway, we are previewing every SEC game this week. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Don't miss a one of them. And we'll see you back with the next one very soon.